Hi, I'm Wally, but for the rest of the video, this little guy is going to be Wally. Today we're going to be talking about school funding in Michigan, or the lack of it. Before we start, I think it's important to talk about the difference between equity and equality. The easiest way I can explain it is with this picture. The little boy obviously can't see the game, and if his father was focused on treating his sons equally, he would have just given the little boy one box, like he and the older son had. But since the father knows that the little boy wouldn't succeed in seeing with that one box, he focused on treating him equitably, giving him what he needed to succeed, not just what others got. And that's the best way to describe the funding that our schools deserve. Enough money for all students to succeed. Now that we have that out of the way, I'm excited to start this journey of school funding in Michigan with you all. If you read my last blog, you'll know that we focused on my experience in one of Michigan's charter districts. Charter schools aren't that different from public ones. They actually are public. We get the same funding from the same place, but we just use it differently. So, my school doesn't look much different from the ones I'm sure you've all seen on the news. No doors on the bathroom stalls, outdated and ripped textbooks, all the stuff I'm sure you've heard before. But what if I told you I could tell you why? Well, there's one person who could probably tell you better, so I'm going to let him.
I'm a professor at Michigan State University. I'm an economist. I teach in the College of Education at Michigan State. So I do work on education policy and especially on school finance.
I got Dr. Arson in a room with our youth, and we asked him all sort of questions on the information he found about Michigan's funding. Here are the highlights.
You know, the current way that Michigan schools are funded was established in 1994. The voters passed a referendum called Proposal 8, and when that happened, the state took control of the funding for local school districts and charter schools. So ever since that time, the decisions of how much money local schools and charters would have was done by state policymakers. So it took the decision out of the hands of local communities that used to vote on how much they wanted to tax themselves and gave it over to legislators in Lansing.
And he told us that things changing didn't necessarily mean they were getting better.
But the problem in our state is that when the state got control of the funding, they didn't make it fair.
And the result is less than pleasing.
So that's where we got where we are now. I mean, Michigan, one of the things you'll see in that report is that over this 25 years, Michigan is dead last among the 50 states in revenue growth for K-12 public schools. We're also right at the bottom in terms of improvement in student performances. So my view is that the state tried to improve schools on the cheap.
You might be wondering, what's the impact of these stats? How do they directly affect students? Well, I interviewed a few of my friends to give you just the content you're looking for.
Just the way that the study came about was surprising because it came up during his class where his students were really interested about the funding in schools. I would say that I'm looking forward to working with him more in the future, and his students too. And overall, I thank him for coming out with this study.
The interview was excellent. It opened my eyes that Michigan is way behind when it comes to funding schools K to 12. I learned if Michigan wants to improve the academic standard in the state, they need to increase funding per student to the national average. For example, Massachusetts has $5,500 more in funding per student than Michigan for K to 12. Thank you.
So, You might be wondering about next steps. I know I was. Here are a few that the Michigan State researchers suggest.
The city schools need additional revenue to hire highly qualified teachers. They don't need additional revenue, they need more stable revenue that they can predict and plan around.
Dr. Arson says it's possible. We just have to want to do it.
It's going to take a lot of young people. You're the first group of young people that I've seen thinking about this. Okay. And Michigan citizens have to say funding education is important for all Michigan children. Every Michigan kid should have a set of opportunities that sets them up for productive citizenship, engagement, and employment. And we know how to do it.
Whatever the answer is, something needs to happen fast, because students aren't learning and we deserve as much of a chance as others to go on higher education.